Hi, my name is Faith and I'm back with another book video today. It's just kind of my new hobby. Today I actually had this idea for a really fun video, but I wanted to do a tier ranking of all the popular BookTok books that I've read, which is quite a lot. I think I have 110 books on this list. Today I'm gonna try and rapid fire through them and I'm gonna rank them for you guys, which will hopefully be super fun. And I'll show you my tier ranking here. I have 5 different categories that I wanted to sort these into. So first of all is I would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. That book is so good that I can't get over it. Second is Loved, which is also probably 5-star books that just didn't quite hit the same. Third, I have Enjoyable. These are just like good books. Then I have Fine/Forgettable. There's a lot of books on here that I've read over the past 6 years that I have forgot about. A lot of them may end up in this tier. And then lastly, You Could Not Pay Me Enough Money to Reread This Book. I think that's quite obvious what that means. I'll just go down the line, but first off, I see the entire Shatter Me series kind of looking me in the face, which is kind of intimidating. And the problem with these books is that I can't really distinguish which one I liked the best. Personally, I really loved and enjoyed this whole series altogether. I'd say I did not really care for any of the novellas. I thought they were all like good, but not completely necessary. All these books blend together in my head. I did really love the first book, and I think it was Ignite Me. Then the rest of these I'm just gonna have to put in the enjoyable category. I read this in high school. It was one of the first big fantasy series I read, and I honestly loved it. I see the next series is the Legend series by Marie Lu. I loved this series. This is a young adult dystopian if you haven't read it. I love the first book. And then this is another one that just kind of all blends together, but I did not really care for the 4th book. Next up, we have The Selection. I know a lot of people are not a huge fan of The Selection, but for me personally, this is one of the book series that got me into reading again. After I read Harry Potter, I didn't know what to read, and I just kept rereading it over and over again. And this was one of the first books to get me out of Harry Potter. And this is probably one of the first romance books I've ever read. So for that reason alone, I have to say I wish I could experience this again for the first time. Not because I think they're like super insanely good, but I just remember being like 15 years old and reading this for the first time, and I thought it literally changed my life. So if I could go back to being a 15-year-old girl reading The Selection, I definitely would do that. And I love the other two. It's been a long time since I've read them. At the time, it was the best book I've ever read. Next up, we have the Shadow and Bone series and then also the Six of Crows. And I have a hot take with these. I did not like the Shadow and Bone series. I literally only read it because I heard about the Six of Crows series. Loved that. It's crazy how these are at the bottom and this is at the top. It took me forever to get through these 3 books and I had no motivation to get through them because I did not care. I only cared about Six of Crows. And then, I don't know why. Actually, I feel like that's right. Next we have Red Queen. I started the 2nd book in the series and I just couldn't get through it because I loved Maven. And if you know, you know. So I'm gonna have to put this here for now. I liked this book, but like the ending shocked me. Because of how it ended, I was like, I don't really want to read the rest. I wish I didn't read that. The Cruel Prince series. This is another hot take of mine. Most people I think would put this up in the would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. Me personally, this was another one of the first fantasy books I read. This just didn't hit for me. This one I thought was good. And then this one was like, eh. I just couldn't get over the fact that Pardon actually had a tail. And that just kind of put me off. Next we have another young adult dystopian series. They're like superheroes. The Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova. I liked this book, but like it wasn't anything crazy. But for a young adult book, I think it was really, really good. But I do remember like really liking it and I really just got through them really quick. If We Were Villains. In my head, sometimes I think it's in would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again just because I was like kind of shocked reading it. Like I just couldn't get enough. But also at times hard to read. I'm gonna stick with it in the loved category for now. Next we have One of Us is Lying. I read this a long time ago, but I remember being like, oh, that's fine. I watched the TV show and I think I like the TV show better. Let's continue because I see something very exciting. I see Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. I have to say, Dance of Thieves, me and my sister bonded over this book so much because I read it and immediately I recommended it to her because I was like, you have to read this book. This is the best book I've ever read in my life. And we both obsessed over it. I've only read it once. I don't know why I haven't reread it. Once I read this book, it was like, okay, I can't stop reading. And for that, I wish I could read it for the first time again. And then Vow of Thieves also I really liked, but it did not hit the same as Dance of Thieves. Our shelves here are getting slightly full. Next up, the Natural series. I know I really liked this one, and I think I really liked the first one too. The other two were just like good. I was entertained the entire time reading them. Again, it's another young adult series. This is like, everyone calls it young adult Criminal Minds, and I haven't watched a ton of Criminal Minds, but I can totally see it. Next up is a book I haven't thought about in a very long time, and that is The Shadows Between Us. For some reason I remember liking this, but I could not tell you a single thing that happens in this book. So that's why it goes in the fine/forgettable category. Okay, Love in Other Words. I just read Love in Other Words not that long ago. I would put it here, and I thought it was good. The Sweetest Oblivion. This is like mafia romance, and let me just say, I don't know why I was obsessed with the main girl. Her name is Elena, I think. I thought she was so cool, and she wore pink every single day. Next up is Binding 13, and as you can see, I've only read the first one. I have this horrible habit of only reading the first book in a series and then getting too intimidated to finish the rest of them. You may see being a trend here. And I really did like this book, and I have to say I'm gonna put it up in loved. So I don't know what's stopping me from reading the rest, except I'm scared. Next we have this. This is the Mind F series. This is a dark romance, I guess. I don't think I would really say I've read a ton of dark romance, but I love this book. This is from the point of view of a female serial killer, and she's dating the FBI guy that's trying to solve her case. I'm gonna put this up here. It is one of the most interesting books I've read, and it's so weird because you start sympathizing with this serial killer in certain ways, which you never would expect. Okay, next up we have Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I actually, when I read this, I annotated it and gave it to my best friend as a Christmas present. I think that was so sweet that I have to put it up here. I really liked a lot of the lessons in this book. It's a memoir, which that was probably the first memoir I've ever read, but I enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I see what's next on this list, and it is the ACOTAR series. As you can see, again, there is not the 5th book in this series, A Court of Silver Flames. And that is because I started it. I got 200 pages in and I was like, did not feel okay reading that. Although I really do want to read the new ones that are coming out. I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I did not really love Nesta, and maybe you think I'm not giving her a chance. I felt like her and Cassian's relationship was different than how I felt it would be in like the foreshadowing leading up to it. Anyway, I'm gonna go like that with the first one. Honestly, I know everyone says this is like their favorite, but I think these are in the same level for me. The one that I really liked, this one. This is like bleh, whatever. Now it's The Bridge Kingdom. I read this a while ago. I do really remember the first one pretty well, and I really liked it. The second one, don't remember. Okay, The Inheritance Games. I started this because I think my sister was reading it, and I liked it. Apparently not enough to keep going. I honestly would try rereading it, but for me, it was forgettable. The Things We Leave Unfinished. I read this last summer, and I think this was really good. I don't know if it should go here or here. It has to be at the front. It has to be at the beginning of loved. Like, this is the top loved one. These should be at the end of the loved. No offense to the selection. The last thing he told me, I remember it took me almost a month to read this book, and I don't remember anything that happened in it. And it's not like bad, but these are all just ones that like took me an enormous amount of effort to finish the book. Next, we have one of my favorite series, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I love this. 2026 is the year of whimsy. If you want whimsy, read this book. This actually is going at the front. Oh no, there's so many books. This, the ending. I read these books as they were coming out, so I remember reading The Ballad of Never After. And the ending, I was so mad that I didn't have the next book because how could it end like that? And then A Curse for True Love. This was good. The second book was definitely the best book there. Next we have Every Summer After. Could reread it. It was fine, but I really did not care about the characters at all. The cheat sheet, I just recommended this in my recent fake dating video, and I would put this here. It's not like anything revolutionary, but it was good. One Dark Window. I really like this book. Man, I gotta start like scrolling to put these into their categories. This is crazy. Next we have Say You Swear. I think I read this on an airplane. I think I read it in like one sitting. For me, this sits somewhere between enjoyable and loved. It's super dramatic and unrealistic in my opinion, but super fun to read. The House Across the Lake. This is the first thriller that I've ever read and the first Riley Sager book I read. I read almost all of his books since then. I actually didn't read this with my eyes. I had eye surgery and my little sister, I forced her to read it to me because I was just laying in bed with my eyes shut all day. And it was good enough to where once I could see again, she wouldn't let me finish it by myself. She wanted to read it too. But honestly, in terms of Riley Sager books, I wouldn't say this one was my favorite. I'm gonna put this here. No, I'm gonna put this here. Just because it's like, in comparison to now, I've read so many more of them. This one probably is my least favorite. The Fine Print. Honestly, I don't remember a single thing that happened in this book. And I don't want to. I see so many people recommending it and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm not getting. Oh, also, yeah, Things We Never Got Over. I know everyone loves this book, but I didn't. I just don't think I'm a Lucy Score lover. Then we have The Housemaid. I just watched the movie a few weeks ago. I liked this, but I am gonna put it in the fine category. The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. I read this the same week that I watched Twilight for the first time. So this isn't like, oh, this is my 5-star book. But like, if I could go back to experience this book and Twilight for the first time together, that would be crazy. I was in like Vampire World and it was fall. It was like the semester just started and I like went to go visit my sister at her school. We were gonna watch the last Twilight together and we binged all the movies and I was reading this book before I would go to bed. It was crazy. I listened to the audiobook the whole way I drove there. So it kind of just took over my life for a little bit. And if I could go back and re-experience that as a whole, definitely would. Divine Rivals. This is probably one of my favorite books also. And again, a book that I'm too intimidated to pick up the next one. I don't know why. I've had the next one sitting on my shelf since it came out. Now we have the Windy City series. Honestly, I did not get the hype for the first one. I just recommended this one in my previous recommendation video, and I also recommended this one, but actually, I loved The Right Move. Play Along was good. Caught Up was like good. The Love Hypothesis, I read this so long ago. I'll go with enjoyable for that. Love Theoretically. Don't ask me why. I loved that book. I don't know how much was different from The Love Hypothesis to this, but something about this made me like it 10 million times better than The Love Hypothesis. Fourth Wing. I read this right when it came out, which was so fun. And as you can see, I've been too intimidated to also pick up the rest of this series. I loved that book. And I'm scared because I've seen a lot of hate on the rest of the series, but I loved it when it came out. Did not like that book. And I couldn't even tell you what it was. I just didn't. For some reason I did like this one. This is like another Allie Hazelwood situation. I don't know why I liked this one way more than the original book. When in Rome, and it was fine. Like, it was cute. Small town romance. This one I liked better as well. Next up, The Spanish Love Deception. And I think it's good. It's just a fun romance. Now we have one of my new favorites, The 7-Year Slip. If you haven't read this book, go read it. I have a playlist for it. Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is gonna be a hot take. Not my cup of tea. Oh my gosh, I read this. So I used to work at a hospital and I'd sit at the front desk, and when it was slow I would read, and I read this book while there were people in the waiting room and I had to hold back my tears. That's what this reminds me of, and I wish I could reread it for the first time so that I could fully let out my tears because I had to hold them in. And I didn't get to experience that fully, I feel like. We Were Liars. Another book I keep seeing people hate on, but this book was another one of them that got me back into reading. It's like really short. I was shocked by the plot twist. This one was kind of revolutionary to me. I never read anything like it. So I wish I could go back to that time and be so utterly shocked by that. Next we have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I'll watch the movie. I'm kind of indifferent about both of them. A Study in Drowning. This was good. I liked it. Is it on the same level as the rest of these? No. Powerless. I read Powerless right when it came out, and I had to wait for each book. I loved Powerless, and you know what else I loved? Powerful. You know what I didn't care for? Reckless. And honestly, I wish the ending to this book never happened. All of a sudden, there were way too many plot twists that was just like twisting and then untwisting. From how good this was. These should not be this low. Next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm torn on this because if you were to ask me 3 years ago what I thought about this book, I would never have wanted to reread it again. But lately I've been really into women's fiction, so I feel like I should give this another chance. I read this also when I was probably 16 or 17, so I don't think I was prepared for it. But looking back at the like premise of the story, I feel like I would really like it now. An Ember in the Ashes. I've read more of these books, but I honestly don't even know where I ended off. No, this is a lot of people's like favorite book series. While it was good, I just did not know what was happening. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. Yeah, that's just a good, easy read. And then also Wait for It by Mariana Zapata. Less popular, but I honestly thought it was better. Beach read. This was my first like 6-star read I've ever read in my life, and I think I should reread it. Then People We Meet on Vacation. I also really do want to watch this movie. To me, it was just way more boring. Now we're into this section, and first immediately you have to pick this out of there because this one's different, guys. If you've read Verity, you know the plot twist is just insane. This entire book is just kind of jarring. Heart Bones. I made a playlist for this book. That's how much I loved it. I haven't read it in a long time. Probably wouldn't like it as much now, but it was good. You know what? Layla? It's like paranormal. The whole reason I made this category could not pay me to reread. It's because this one should be at the top of the list. It is just messy and unhealthy. What's the word that I'm looking for? Toxic. It was not okay with me. Reminders of Him. Everyone cries at this, but I don't know. It Ends With Us. This is the first book I've ever read that had any kind of like domestic violence situation, and just because of that, I wouldn't say it's like this is enjoyable, but it really changed my perspective. And I remember I finished it late at night and I just was like crying, staring at the wall. November 9. I'm gonna put this in enjoyable just because I did not think things should have turned out the way they did. Maybe I really did like the story and like the plot twist. Maybe someday. This was not very memorable. The main guy's deaf and he writes music, and I don't know why that was cool. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This was another book that I read right when it came out, so I had to wait for them. This one was good, and this one was also good, but As Good as Dead was scary. I remember sitting at the end of my dock. I was reading this at my cabin. I was in the last probably 50 pages of the book, sitting at the end of the dock reading all by myself there, and every noise I heard I was like, I thought someone was coming to get me because of how scary it was, and I was there by myself. The Deal, super popular and for good reason. I love this book. Definitely look up the trigger warnings. Both of these characters deal with some sort of trauma and they bond on a deeper level than a lot of other books I've read. Silent Patient. I vividly remember reading this in Mexico. Everyone was playing sand volleyball and they asked me to join, and I said no, I can't, because I was reading this book and I was almost done, and then I finished and I was like, nobody knows what just happened. Another reason that this whole shelf exists. That's all I have to say. Archer's Voice. This was so cute. Scythe. I really like this book, but this was one of the most interesting books I've ever read. It's where humans kind of defeated death. Nobody can die naturally anymore, so the Scythes are in charge of population control and they pick people to kill, and they all have their different methods, and it's about these 2 kids who get picked to apprentice a scythe. If He Had Been With Me, hot take, I didn't cry and I hated the ending. I didn't like that the main character wore a crown, and I don't know if I could get over that. Picking Daisies on Sundays. This was good. And lastly, we have a book that kind of confuses me, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And the only reason I'm confused is because when I read this I was like, eh. But like I said, I've been getting into women's fiction and I feel like this fits that, so I would like to give it another chance. Man, this is a lot of books. This is the only one you need to know about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you did, I had a lot of fun just going through and talking to you about so many books that I've read. Who else is going to listen to me talk about 110 books? I think that's how many we went through today. Tell me if you relate to any of my ratings or if I should give some of these books a second chance. Thank you again for watching. That's all I have for today. Bye.